With Pokemon GO Fest Global just a few weeks away, I've been preparing and getting myself ready for this insane event. For those of you who have actually never played a Pokemon GO Fest before, this is by far one of the best events of the entire year in the game. You're going to have an entire weekend to play, which means 16 hours of insane spawns, raids, and boosted shinies if you decide to actually purchase the ticket, which I do strongly recommend because it makes your overall experience just so much more worth it if you're planning on playing most of the weekend. Anyways, with that being said, in this video I'm going to be going over everything you can start doing now in order to get yourself ready for the best event of the year. So at the current time of filming this video, we have about 2 weeks left before the event actually starts, so leading up to this event, there's still plenty of time to go out there and grind out some gems for some extra PokeCoins. Your main focus should be getting more bag space and more Pokemon storage. The more bag space you have, the more Pokeballs you can have in your bag, and the less time you're going to have to spend restocking during the event. Now if you have more Pokemon storage, this means you're going to have less Pokemon to transfer during the event, and more Pokemon you can actually keep for trades, as well as transferring during the Spotlight Hour that following Tuesday after the event. Now if you already feel pretty confident on your Pokemon storage as well as your bag space, and I would also recommend getting some premium items as well, I'm going to go over which ones you want to focus on later on in this video. Now for those of you who aren't free to play, or maybe you're mostly free to play, I would recommend putting aside some money from your paycheck to get some PokeCoins for this event. I know many players out there probably aren't going to get enough PokeCoins from the gym system to upgrade their Pokemon storage or their bag space or even buy some premium items. So going into this event, I think it's a great investment if you really want to get the most out of it. 16 hours of potential grind time gets pretty crazy, and before you know it, you're going to have to go through and clear out your Pokemon storage, or you might even run out of Pokeballs. This would definitely kill your momentum completely during an event. Now if you can get to a desired place for your Pokemon storage as well as your bag space free to play, then even better. But don't be afraid to actually spend some money to make your life a little bit easier and less chaotic during a big event like this, especially if you're going to be buying that event ticket. Now with that being said, I'm not saying you need to upgrade your Pokemon storage completely before this event. I would say you want to ideally have about 1,000 open spots going into this event for the entire weekend. Next up, let's go over what premium items you want to have during this event. So 8 incense each day is highly recommended. It's arguably one of the most important items to have during this event, because this is going to be the only way to get the unknown and regional spawns if you actually purchase the event ticket. You ideally want to be running this for the entire event, so 8 incense each day, which means 16 in total for the whole weekend. And I would highly recommend dropping these right when the event starts, like all at once. So drop 8 incense right when the event starts, and that way you won't actually forget about them. Now following that, I'm also going to recommend between 4 to 8 lucky eggs and 4 to 8 start pieces. The reason why I recommend this amount is because of the global challenge bonuses that are going to be awarded each hour. This usually happens towards the end of the hour, so you won't need to be running a lucky egg and a start piece the entire time, but you would ideally want to run them once the bonus goes active. For example, if the bonus is 2 times catch experience or 2 times Stardust, I probably won't be using them myself, as I'd rather just save my resources for a 3 times bonus during Calm Day. Now of course, with that being said, if you have the resources to spare, you could totally run the lucky eggs and start pieces the entire time if you're going to be grinding. But again, I don't really feel like that is applicable to most players. They're going to have like periods where they're actually grinding pretty hard, in which case you can totally run the start pieces and lucky eggs if you have the 2 times catch Stardust or the 2 times experience bonus. But during the majority of the event, I don't really feel like it's actually worth it to use them, but it really depends on how many of these items you actually have. Like, feel free to use them more sparingly if you do have a lot of them. The next thing I'm going to recommend is going to be between 10 to 20 lure modules. So wherever you decide to play, lure modules are going to last 1 hour long, and this will be a fantastic time to actually work towards your Platinum Picnicker medal. Basically, the way that this works is that you get 1 point every single time somebody else catches a Pokemon off your lure module. I'm sure most of you are probably going to be going to your most popular grind spot in your local area, so just drop some lure modules and just get some easy points. Now following that, I'm also going to recommend 20 or more green raid passes. So these are going to be the premium raid passes. If you actually bought the Go Fest ticket, you're going to get 9 free orange raid passes on both days. These are going to be use it or lose it passes though, so I would avoid buying more green passes until you actually use these up. You're going to ideally want to do as many Necrozma raids as possible during day 2 of the event for the fusion energy though, not to mention good IVs on Necrozma, because when fused together with Solgaleo and Lunala, the IVs are actually taken from Necrozma. Now during day 1 of the event, we're also going to have all of the Ultra Beasts available as well, and some of these Pokemon are going to be regionals. If you guys want to actually find out how good every single one of these Ultra Beasts are, then check out this video right here in the top right hand corner, as well as in the description down below. Now for players who have other responsibilities this weekend, there's going to be no limit on remote raid passes. These are going to be significantly more expensive than green in-person passes though, but they are a lot more convenient. You can use apps like PokeGenie to find raid lobbies, and you can also host your own raids from the in-person gym as well if you need raid support. The only downside here is that you can't actually hold on to these in bulk like the green passes. There's going to be a limit of 3, so you're going to have to buy more of these if you actually need them. You're also going to have a small chance to get these for free from the research breakthrough box after collecting 1 week's worth of field research stamps. I've actually gotten this a few times myself, but you can only get this as a reward if you have less than 3 remote raid passes in your inventory, so it's a good incentive to actually keep using them. Now with the premium items covered, let's go go over what free items you want to have going into this event. So first up, let's go over pineapple berries. I would recommend having about 25 to 50. Now, depending on your playstyle, you may want to have more or less of these. After playing through enough events myself, I've realized that I'm actually more focused on quick catching, and that also means not using berries in order to actually save more time. The only time that I would actually use pineapple berries is to get candy on really rare Pokemon. Not to mention, on top of that, I usually try and spin Pokestops throughout the day as well, so I almost always end up getting more pineapple berries than I actually started with. For an event like this with 16 hours of spawns, I'm most likely going to get enough candy on everything that I'm focused on quick catching, and for anything that's a little bit more rare, I'm probably going to use pineapple berries, but I guarantee I'm probably going to accumulate those throughout the day. The upside to having less berries in your Pokemon bag means that you're going to be able to hold on to more Pokeballs going into the event. Next up, let's go over Nana berries. So I'm going to recommend about 25 to 50 of these. You are definitely going to encounter plenty of aggressive Pokemon throughout the day, and these are going to come in handy to make them stop attacking if they're being super feisty. Next up, let's go over golden raspberries, probably one of the most important berries next to the silver pineapple berries, which we'll talk about later. So golden raspberries, I'd recommend having about 50 plus if possible. These are going to give you the best catch rate in the game combined with the excellent curveball throws. Keeping these on hand for low catch rate Pokemon is going to be very helpful. Like, you could also use Nana berries to kind of get them to stop attacking you, but if you really want to increase the catch rate, golden raspberry is going to be the way to go. Now, I'm sure most of you guys are probably going to be raiding throughout this day, so you're going to continue to restock on these as well, but you tend to use them at a faster rate, so I would recommend going into this event with at least 50 on hand, if not more, depending on bag space. Now, if you don't have that many golden raspberries and you're not going to be around Pokestops throughout the day, I would recommend having a few extra raspberries just in case, because it's going to be the next best option. Now, our final berry that we're going to be going over is going to be the silver pineapple berry. These should be saved for the Ultra Beast Pokemon if you want to farm candy on them. These are going to have a very close catch rate to a golden raspberry and an increased candy rate compared to the regular pineapple berries. So for example, the regular raspberry is going to be a 1.5 times catch rate, the silver pineapple berry is going to be a 1.8 times catch rate, and the golden raspberry is going to be a 2.5 times catch rate. Now, in terms of the candy bonuses, the regular pineapple berry is going to be 2 times candy, and the silver pineapple berry is going to be 2.33 times candy. So you get a little bit more. So ultimately, it really does come down to your playstyle in terms of what you want to have more of and less of. I feel like ideally you want to have as many golden raspberries and silver pineapple berries as possible, and outside of that, you really don't need any of the other berries, to be honest, because if you're going to be playing around Pokestops, you're going to get more of these throughout the day. Now, once again, I'm assuming that most of you are probably going to be raiding a decent amount during this event, so I would recommend having about 100 max potions and 100 max revives. You can definitely have less if you're going to be playing in a big group, but if you're going to be playing in a smaller group, you probably want to have around this much. Whenever my friends ask me to help clear their bag, I always say that they have like a ridiculous amount of max potions and max revives on top of hyper potions and regular revives. Most players probably don't need that many. Like, if you have over 200, that's way too many. Legit, 100 max potions, 100 max revives is pretty much all that you need. You can supplement regular revives if you don't have that many max revives, and you can supplement hyper potions if you don't have that many max potions. Keep in mind where you're going to be raiding. If you feel like you're going to have a lot of players around you, definitely go into this event with less. Like, I would even say like 50 max potions, 50 max revives would be enough for some players. But if you're not going to have that many players around you, then definitely having more of these will help. Now, on top of that, you also want to remember to invite players off your friends list who are going to be doing remote raids, as this will increase your numbers, which means less Pokemon used during the battles, which also means less potions and less revives. Now, on top of that, it also wouldn't hurt to actually get some of these Pokemon ready for these raid bosses. If you want to know what the best Pokemon are in the game, then check out this video right here. It's also going to be linked down below. I also have a Shadow variant video as well, which I do highly recommend going through and checking out. Now, I get this question asked a lot as well. If you're actually having trouble getting potions or revives, then spin more gym stops, especially once you've actually gotten gold gym badges at. Compared to regular Pokestops, you get a lot more potions and revives from these specifically. Now, finally, let's talk about regular Pokeballs, Ultra Balls, and Great Balls. And yeah, I kind of went in that order for a reason. Now, for regular Pokeballs, you want to have as many of these as possible if you're going to be using an Autocatcher throughout the day. Now, on the flip side of that, if you're going to be freehanding your throws throughout the day, having as many Ultra Balls as possible is going to be your best, given that they do have the best catch rate. But it does take time to build them up. I mean, trust me, it takes a long time to build them up. So I would recommend going to restock at Pokestops as soon as possible and delete the Great Balls in favor of these once you fill up your bag. Now, finally, if you aren't able to save as many Ultra Balls and you're going to be freehanding your throws, the Great Balls are going to be your next best option, since you're going to give a better catch rate than regular Pokeballs. But again, in terms of the combination here for the Autocatcher plus freehanding, I would say have as many regular Pokeballs as possible and as many Ultra Balls as possible. The next thing I want to go over is going to be the fast catch trick and the circle lock method. So most of you probably already know how to use these catch tricks by now, but for any newer players going into this event, and I guarantee there's always a bunch of new players going into GO Fest, I highly recommend learning how to use these to increase your catching speed and efficiency. Knowing these tricks is going to be extremely important for an event like this, so if you haven't mastered them yet, then check out this tutorial in the top right hand corner. It's also going to be linked in the description down below. Now, if you want to make your life a little bit easier throughout this 16-hour event, I would also recommend getting an Autocatcher if you don't have one already. This is going to be great to run in the background when you're traveling between cluster spawns or when you're busy with something, which always happens randomly throughout the day. I've been meaning to do a full guide going over the various auto-catchers available in Pokemon Go, but for right now I'm just going to recommend the official Pokemon Go Plus, which can auto-catch Pokemon using regular red Pokeballs, and you can also use Great and Ultra Balls by manually pressing the button. In terms of cost effectiveness, this is probably the best bang for your buck right now. Now with that being said, I also want to mention that I'm not sponsored and I don't have any affiliate links to any of the other auto-catchers, so make sure to shop around a bit before actually buying one. Next up, let's go over Rare Candy / Palkia Candy for Spatial Rend. So it's going to cost you 480 candy and 480 Stardust if you wanted to keep this running during the entire event for both days, but I wouldn't really recommend that. Still, with that being said, it's going to be great to use this periodically throughout the event, especially if you're going to cluster spawns. More spawns essentially equals more shiny chances, especially if you have the event ticket. Actually, if you don't have the event ticket, I really would not recommend using this, only if you have the event ticket. Now, one of the best ways to actually get rare candy for free is by doing GBL, and I know some of you guys don't actually like doing Go Battle League, but trust me when I say this, it has given me so much rare candy as a free-to-play player. Like, it is just ridiculous how many legendaries I've been able to power up only because of GBL. Now with that being said, if you don't have that many legendary Pokemon powered up yet, I would recommend using your rare candy on those Pokemon instead rather than Palkia candy, because they're probably going to help you out a lot more during the raid battles opposed to actually just getting the extra spawns from the Spatial Rend bonus. Like, that is really nice to have, I think, for more experienced players, but for newer players, the rare candy is better used on legendary Pokemon, and in this case, the Ultra Beast Pokemon. Now if you're not sure which of the best Pokemon to invest your rare candy into, I actually have a full in-depth video which I'm going to leave linked down below. I would highly encourage you guys to watch that video and find a few Pokemon to dump your rare candy into if you have some saved up. This way you can go into this event with more bag space, which means more Pokeballs. Now speaking of getting more Pokeballs, if you guys actually aren't opening your gifts every single day, like your daily limit is 30 gifts every single day. If you're not doing that, go to the Pokemon Go Friends subreddit, add a bunch of people, send them gifts, open their gifts, and honestly do this every single day leading up to this event. You're going to get a ton of Pokeballs, especially if you aren't able to go out and spend Pokestops as often. Now with that being said, I would strongly encourage you guys to put aside some time to actually go and restock a few days before the event, because you're going to want to have as many Pokeballs as possible. But again, a good way to kind of passively build up that amount in your Pokemon bag is going to be by opening your gifts every single day. Next up, let's go over Pokestop showcases and why these are going to be so important going into this event. So if you can actually win first or second place, you can get rewards such as star pieces, lucky eggs, incense, and various lure modules. So basically everything that I talked about earlier in terms of the premium items, except you're going to be getting these for free, which means less PokeCoins spent on actually getting them. Next up, let's talk about Mega Pokemon. So I would highly recommend working on getting every Mega that you have available right now to Mega Level 3 if they aren't there already. Now we just had some pretty good Megas available in raids during the month of June, and for those of you guys who are able to get Mega Rayquaza, it is going to be one of the best Pokemon to use during this event, as it's going to cover candy bonuses for Dragon, Flying, and Psychic types. Now let's be real here, if you just got access to Mega Rayquaza from the recent Raid Day event, you're not going to be able to get this to Mega Level 3, there's just not enough time, but you can get it to Mega Level 2 before this event, and if you don't have any other Mega Pokemon available, just make sure to have enough Mega Energy to run this during both days of the weekend. So once you Mega Evolve it for the first time, the cost to Mega Evolve it goes down by 80%, so you really don't need that much energy. I would recommend making it your buddy and just trying to walk it as much as possible for the next 2 weeks. You can also use a combination of other Mega Level 3 Pokemon for different hunts during the event, but I'm personally just going to use my Mega Rayquaza because it's a lot more of a simplified approach. I mean, I just have to use that thing twice for both days, and I pretty much cover a majority of the spawns I'm actually focused on. Moving on, let's go over the 6 special trades you're going to have each day, so a total of 12 special trades. Now I believe this could actually be a total of 7 special trades because the seasonal bonus is going to be 2 special trades every single day, whereas the 6 special trades, I think, is going to be an add-on to that bonus. But again, I can't 100% say this because we've never actually had the 2 special trades during a Go Fest. So we might get 7, we might get 6, because 6 is going to be the total amount. I don't know, we'll have to wait and see here. But anyways, I'm just going to go off the assumption that it's going to be 6 special trades if you decided to actually purchase the event ticket. So it would be smart to coordinate with your lucky friends ahead of time, guys. We have 2 weeks ahead of time right now in order to actually get these done throughout the day. Talk to them and see where they're going to be playing, and you guys can just meet up at some point during the day if it's convenient for you. There's going to be 2 main spots that most players in my local area go to play, so it's pretty easy to actually find people during events like this. Scheduling meetup times can also work out pretty well, but you got to put in the effort on your end. Now, if you don't have any lucky friends, you can also just mirror trade shinies with a friend and hope that it actually goes lucky. There's usually a better chance of this happening during Pokemon Go Fest, and if one of you actually has an older Pokemon that was caught in 2018 or earlier, there's actually going to be a much higher chance of it going lucky. Next up, let's go over your travel bag. So basically everything that you want to have packed in here before you go into this event. So quick snacks like bars, chips, candy, meals like sandwiches, a water bottle is going to be really good. You can bring like a hydro flask, but I do find it tedious to carry this thing around during the day because it's so heavy. You can also bring a water cooler and keep it in your car if you're going to be driving to the event or in terms of wherever you're going to be playing. Like personally, wherever I park, I can always just walk back and grab a water bottle, which is significantly lighter. It's totally personal preference what you guys want to do, but I strongly recommend at least having some drinks ready to go because you're going to be out there for 8 hours each day. And for most players right now, it's going to be pretty damn hot. Next up, we have external batteries. So I always have at least 2 of these on me personally. And between an entire weekend of Pokemon Go, you may forget to charge one of them the night before, in which case you're going to be glad you have that second one. At least I always am. I don't have any affiliate links though, so please make sure to do your own research before purchasing them. I personally do use the Anchor brand though, and I have for years. They're pretty reliable. Now of course, paired with the external batteries, you also want to have charging cables. I would recommend having at least 2 cables in case one of them actually stops working midday. I'm assuming that most of you guys are probably going to have people to play with throughout the day, in which case your friend might end up forgetting their cable, and if you have that extra one, it might end up saving their Go Fest. If you actually ended up buying the Autocatcher, or maybe you already have one, then make sure to pack this as well. It's going to be so crucial to have throughout this event. And of course, on top of that, make sure that you have extra Autocatcher batteries. Depending on what Autocatcher you're using, they do have different batteries. The one that I use has a AAA battery, so I always make sure to have extras in my bag. Sunscreen is also going to be incredibly important for this event. Make sure to apply some before the event. It might feel a little awkward to reapply during the day, but your safety and health is the most important thing, so make sure that you're applying sunscreen. Now on top of that, I would also recommend to bring a hat like a sun hat or a baseball cap or something like that to have against the sun as well. Now very recently, a few people I know have gotten these things called phone coolers, and apparently it's like a fan for your phone, which keeps it cool. I mean, my phone personally has been overheating a little bit more due to the heat, and I'm sure that's the case for many of you guys as well. I don't really have too much experience using these, but I may buy one off Amazon to kind of test it out. If it blows cold air, that would be amazing. I mean, otherwise, if I'm in a car during the day, the AC itself will be probably fine enough, but again, if you're going to be walking around for most of the day, maybe having a phone cooler might be something you want to look into. Now finally, the last thing I'm going to recommend having in your bag is going to be spray-on deodorant. If you're going to be out in the sun for 8 hours, you're most likely going to be sweating a decent amount, and to be honest, it would be pretty hygienic to actually have this throughout the day, especially if you're going to be around other players. With that being said, that's pretty much going to cover everything I'm going to pack in my bag. If there's anything else you feel like I could add on, let me know in the comment section down below, but from past Go Fest, this is pretty much everything that I need. Next up, let's go over preparing the day before, right? So really important stuff here. Set reminders and alarms to charge your devices and pack your bag the day before. It is so easy to forget one thing or another, and then your whole day is pretty much messed up. For example, not charging your external battery can limit your playtime significantly. Make plans with friends as well in advance. Decide who you're going to play with, where you're going to play, and what you're going to do. Decide if you're going to stop for lunch somewhere, how long you're going to play, etc. The point being here is that you want to try and plan as much as you can in advance. Like, there's going to be tons of things that sporadically happen throughout the day, and that's totally fine. But these types of events will go by quicker than you realize, and while taking breaks is important, I strongly recommend that. You also want to make sure that you're getting the most out of this event, especially if you end up buying the event ticket, which once again, I strongly recommend. Now, I'm sure some of you are probably wondering why I didn't go over Pokemon storage and bag management in this video. Well, there is a reason for that, and it's because I'm actually going to have 2 updated videos coming out really soon going over both of these. I have been playing Pokemon Go free-to-play for the past 8 years, and I honestly don't even have half of the max Pokemon storage yet. But with that being said, I'm still going to have about 1,000 open spots going into this event. My storage management honestly works incredibly well if you're actually willing to commit some time to setting it up. But with that being said, while I work on those 2 videos, if you guys still want to check out some more content, then watch these 2 videos right here. But before you go, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you all real soon in the next one.